Okay, now it's gonna maybe change the tone a little bit, but I've been wanting to do this for so long with Truth or Tea, but I don't know first of all who's
Mm-hmm.
willing to like be recorded saying this shit.
Yeah.
But I've been wanting. I love listening to watching the YouTubes of people having conversations about like controversial stuff. I love that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so much. So anyway, let's do it. Here we go. Now we're talking about shame and how we're banishing shame from our lives because we're not living the small footprint.
Yeah. No,
Exactly.
I was gonna say like it's it's basically just like it's the scarcity mindset of just like how small can you make yourself, and so you don't think about like what you're saying about water and like the cycles of the earth. Like abundance is a thing that exists in our universe, and
Mm-hmm.
like we have to like remember that. But
Yeah.
we're like
Mm-hmm.
totally opposite all the time with like basically everything. And even
Yeah.
like we were talking about like our bodies earlier and how amazing they are, but like the marketing around like, you know, a lot of like medications is just like, oh, you just have this like meat sack that kind of fucking sucks, and like here's this little pill that'll help you, you know, focus on this one thing, but oh, by the way, here's all of the side effects, which include like bleeding from your ass or something. And it's like,
Right.
you know, I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like there's so much fear. It's like everything being thrown at us is like fear about existing. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Yes.
It
A
sucks.
100%.
We are limitless. We are
And
limitless.
it's
Well,
hard
and
to
to
go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's so funny to think that like we say that we live in an abundant universe and that everything we don't have to fear running out because there's enough of everything. We live on Alan Watts called it when like an apple tree apples a earth peoples. That's what it does. And it's like an apple
Oh, the earth
tree.
people is like a verb. Or what?
Yeah, like a verb, it peoples. And an apple tree, it takes care of the apples on the tree. It's not just like, oh, here you are. Sorry, go fend for yourself. The apple tree
Yeah.
nourishes it. It helps it grow. Like the earth peoples. That's what it does. The universe peoples. And so to think that it's not going to, everything that we need is not going to be provided for us so that we can do that is just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
to think that we live in that existence of that universe where so much is dark energy that that's a whole other topic, but that there's so much there for every single person and that it will just recycle and continue, but that it's impossible for that to happen for us in this couple decades because everything's going to run out. It's just to create that FOMO so that you get this product that they want you to get so that they know, everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
They know what the weather's doing. They know what the water cycle is doing. They just want to create that fear for you so that you don't know. But once you find out it's such a sham, it's just a blissful little place to live in.
It's so liberating. Well, what they know is that humans are all inherent. I believe most humans are inherently just good. We want to do good. We want to do the best. So
Mm-hmm.
buy that thing that's going to achieve. Okay, I'm thinking about this a whole lot right now. Now that I'm in a city where everyone has certain signs out in their yards that say certain relevant messages. I feel like I don't want to say it out loud right now because I don't want people to think I'm a critic of something that is good. It has a good message,
Mm-hmm.
but people just want to belong. People want to put
Mm.
those signs out for the deepest levels. People just want to belong, and so if you put it out there,
Yeah.
climate change is the evil. People want to belong to that, whatever the message
Yeah.
is. And they're
They want other people to realize that they care deeply about
yeah,
something and that they're not just completely shut off.
but you gave it a brand, you gave it a name, like low
Mm-hmm.
carbon footprint. I bike everywhere. My life, I see it as in this neighborhood I've always lived in. People want to be kind of harder than the other. Like I am
Yeah.
I'm a grungier, better saver. I have lower impact. It's the vibe.
Yeah.
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 It's like
I,
very it becomes like another competition, right? Like
Yeah.
because we are also like, you know, we want to do the best, and we're also like we like to be competitive sometimes, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like tricky, um because I was just thinking before, like the earth, I really like you touched onto like the earth peoples, but like we have to appreciate the earth is like our source. And I think
Right.
that is the part that's been hijacked with this like sustainability movement. It's like, oh, earth lovers. It's like yeah, but you're not really like, it's like it's
Not
so fucked
trusting.
because that's been taken over, where being an
Mhm.
earth lover is basically like, oh, I have to like, and I think this is like really interesting with like the minimalist movement too, and like not owning things. Like you can get furniture on subscription now. Like you can literally never own anything. And like you're just, I don't know, it's like this idea, it's like, oh, I love the earth, so I'm basically going to be like this tiny little shriveled up raisin instead of this like juicy apple because the earth is
Mhm.
able to give that to me. Like we're just being taught to like sacrifice ourselves to the earth, right? Like,
Right.
oh, like, and it's not loving the earth, it's not like that loving relationship, it's actually like this weird sacrificial like thing, like, oh, thou holier than me, like I must bow to the earth. And it's like, oh, this is kind of fucked up now.
Trusting the earth. It's not trusting
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
us, which is like
yeah,
a maternal. It feels like a very maternal relationship, and it's
right,
Yeah.
it's easy for just I feel just way better dropping the climate change narrative.
Mhm.
It's less stress and I can contribute more.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm more
absolutely.
creative and I can receive more. And I dated some guy at once that was kind of he Febrezed his beard. I'm not even joking. He was smelly to a fault, and he grew up with a pastor dad, so very Christian. And just that doesn't really relate to exactly what I'm saying, but but kind of like the idea of scarcity kind of embedded, or like shame probably
yeah,
in his
Uh-huh.
upbringing. Not that every Christian has that, but I remember having a conversation that he said like there's only so much money to go around, so that if that he, and
Mm.
this is competitive in that kind of world and shame world where like the less I have, the more other people have. And he was literally
yeah,
telling me this, and I was like, nope, 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 you're wrong.
Mm-mm.
Being able to have that conversation with him helped just prove it to myself. And then I started to, because I was learning a lot about manifesting and abundance at that time. So when I
Yeah.
was teaching him, I got to own it and I got to see, no, that's real. It is real. You have to really own it when you talk like that there is limitless abundance. And
yeah,
you start to open it, and it might take open to it, but then it's so obvious. And like I'm kind of in this place right now where I realize I'm embodying this way more now because things are flowing into my life. You got to let that happen because you can contribute
yeah,
more.
Right. You know, like everybody says like they just want life to be better for their kids than it was for them. Which is like I think that's just super pure, and that's just what everyone always wants. They just want to leave something better for the next people. And to do things with that intent is really beautiful, but it's almost reversed in a way because of the suffering that we're creating because of it. But I love Carol Tuttle said, she has this book called Remembering Wholeness. And she says, I think about it all the time. Um, I can think exactly where on the page it says it, but she says that, you know, we went from walking everywhere to then being able to, you know, have horses and buggies and everything, you know, and like we as an American nation crossed the entire plains, you know, like the gold rush, the Oregon Trail, just everything. We crossed the Great Plains of the Americas in wagons and hand carts and things to get to this other better life. And now all we have to do is sit our butt in an airplane and fly. And like that's available to us, but everybody still just wants to cart across the plains because we're so embedded in that culture of struggle and suffering that somehow that's holy, which I know Everest talks about all the time, you know. And like it's the same like right now. We could be in this luxury airplane, this jet going from here to here, but instead we're like, oh, it looks a lot better if I'm just walking the whole time. Like our ancestors, every single person that came before us, all they wanted was for it to be easier and better for us so that we wouldn't have to do the same struggle and the same thing. And you know, our kids are probably going to have jetpacks, although we were promised jetpacks, and where is mine? But you know, my stepson's probably going to be like going to work on a jetpack someday. I don't want him to have to like ride a bike if he doesn't want to. Like, take the freaking jetpack, you know? I want my jet back.
I think, our, like, think of seven. I love the philosophy, 7 generations. Think of 7 generations after you. And
Hmm.
they're probably going to be fucking. I mean, I was talking a lot about astral travel yesterday in our Marco Polo,
Yeah.
but for real though, like, what is that called? What is that called where you just remotely, like, show up in another dimension? What's it called in all the sci-fi worlds?
Oh, like,
They're probably going to time travel 7 generations,
yeah,
but will they?
right.
Will they? If we're, like, stressing on every, like, molecule of carbon, maybe not.
Yeah.
I know it's really. I even like, and this is actually the difficulty I think we have now with the internet, and like I really like Teresa, like truth or tea as an idea, because it's like, what is the truth? We actually don't know. And like that, I think that's scary because there's your truth, like our own subjective truth, and then there's like objective truth.
Mhm.
And some people are really, it's important for us to know like what's objectively true, like so that we can actually be on the same level, right? Like, oh, we're all talking on Zoom, like we can objectively say like Zoom is a thing that exists, and okay, yeah. So it gets like pretty philosophical, and I don't even know why I brought this up, but like it's just like when you break that seal from like the realizing how much like of the beliefs you have are just stories that have been given to you, it's kind of like earth shattering, and you're like,
Mhm.
wait, what is even real? Because like a lot of the like, oh, research has shown, I'm like, what fucking research? Who did it?
Yeah.
Who are they? Who funded them? Because like when you start breaking down the shit, you're like, no one's in control. This is just a like wild and beautiful and chaotic planet. Like
Yeah.
we don't know shit, actually. There's a lot of things we don't know, but like the illusion
Yeah.
that we know everything, I think is like is breaking. But with that comes the chaos of like not knowing, right? Like, you know, the flat earth thing, like there's so many like everyone's like, well, it's we don't know. So like what else could be true? You know, like there's evidence to back up a lot of things. And I think that's why it's really I don't know where we go from here, because I think it's important for us to like have a base level of like objective understanding, but like so many what we thought was like definitely real. Like a lot of people are like,
Right.
wait, no, this is not, I don't think this is true. Like, what the fuck? What else is not true? You know, it's like
Hmm.
easy to go and like have that kind of like, I don't know, breakdown of like, the fuck is even real?
It's kind of like infinite possibilities, infinite abundance. It's opening up
Yeah.
so much possibility.
And that
Hmm.
requires like a letting go. And I think that's why
Yeah.
it's scary, because I was actually talking to my boyfriend about this too, like the idea of like death cycles. Like things have to die. And
Hmm.
I think there's a lot that like our society's currently holding on to that like
Hmm.
we're not we don't talk about death as a concept in general. So like the idea of cycles of rebirth and death are like not even really spoken about. I don't know, at least I
Right.
it's not
Well,
a mainstream thing. Like, but when you really start understanding like, oh, death is not a bad thing.
hmm,
It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually required for like life to keep moving, like death and life.
right.
It's the yin yang, it's the fucking infinity symbol, you know? And it's like I don't know. I went on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, I think when you break that seal into like, oh wait, the universe is abundant. We don't know everything. Everything's not running out. We can't measure all of the water on the fucking earth. Like what the fuck are you talking about? Who went out
Right.
and did that? I don't know. Like that's what I start thinking about. I'm like, what?
Right.
Sea level rise. Like, I don't believe in that anymore.
Like, so you guys know I live like, 20 minutes, half hour from Skinwalker Ranch, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And all the other like Blind Frog and all that, and our drones have disappeared and everything, but
Yeah.
so much stuff. But so I've been watching this new season of Skinwalker Ranch, and they have this episode where like they're like, okay, we have this water that's just like disappearing down into somewhere. Let's just see if we can figure out where it's at. And so we're in the high desert. Like it's kind of, you know, crazy out here, but we have water. And they're like, they did this for blind frog too. And I know this happened in lots of places around here, that they'll divert some water from like a creek or something and try and figure out where the water's going, so that you can see like where these holes are at and where water's leaking out in different places. And so they have these bioluminescent dyes, and they are putting them in the water by the gallons, and you just go and try and track it. It never comes up anywhere nearby. Like no one has any idea where the water goes. These places where you think it should come up, where creeks come up again and stuff, it doesn't. Like just to think like, oh, it should just come up here. Like, well, it should, but it's not. Like no one knows where these things are at, because you know, it's just, there's so many places where it could be. And so just to think like, well, we know what, and not criticizing them at all, but just like in school you learn like, well, okay, there's a well here and you dig down and here's this pool of water. Like that's not how it works, you know. And so that's why it's so tricky, like trying to find where these water goes. So it's just crazy, like even these like physicists and people trying to do this stuff, they're like, we just have to dump dye in and see where it goes, because we, you know, that's just how the earth is. And you know, it's so crazy. People are like, but where's it supposed to go? That's why we're dumping dye in it. You have no idea. Like, and then it comes out in like the craziest places, you know. It's just,
and it's okay to not know and not measure fucking molecule of earth. Okay, water. Two things. Pagosa Springs. I was just living in Pagosa Springs. Just like magically ended up there, and apparently it has the deepest known hot spring on Earth. Apparently, which is crazy, because how do they know? How do they measure? That's amazing. But okay, water. I'm just starting to try. I'm just in the city again, drinking city water, and I'm trying to drop the narrative that we are living in a super toxic world. I know a lot of like nutritionist truther people are saying this, and 5G and all that, but I feel like that's almost the next generation of shame and stress about every little thing. I don't know. I feel like I can upgrade and coexist. So Chantel is somebody who does Reiki, and I know that this is true, but can I Reiki my fucking city water that I know has shit? And I just don't. Okay, because that's.
Oh my gosh, I have a documentary for you. So you can Reiki it, like, or I can Reiki it for you, or you can just write on your water bottle, health and light.
What I do.
That's all you have to do.
I put sea salt in this too. That must be, we were talking about that earlier with Mary Margaret. Salt, love and light, Reiki. Because I am really hardcore about spring water too, but it adds a bunch of fucking stress to my life because I have to drive an hour.
Right.
So
no, just Reiki it.
Water.
And even if you can't necessarily like write something on the glass, just have the intention that this is just beautiful water for my body. Mm-hmm. And another thing, like, oh my gosh, so coasters are so great because you can like, they keep all your furniture nice, but pick coasters that are colors that are happy to you, or have a message that really resonates with you, like if it's like abundance and richness and, you know, or like health or anything, like, so that when you are, you know, you have your coffee mug or anything is sitting on it and it's not just your water bottle, or if you're like, you know, like me, and you eat in front of your computer because you stay here all day because you're working, then like I have like the best like gemstones that I keep them on, because then like even my breakfast rests on it, and it's just infusing that. I mean, just like, it doesn't even have to go, you don't have to buy a slab of some beautiful rock. You just have some kind of coaster that has a message or a color or something that resonates with you, and every time you put it down on there, it's going to pick up the energy of what it's sitting on.
Okay, so I use a lot of wood, and I have like wood plates and cork coasters, and then I just had my water set on this wood tray with this beautiful color.
That's so grounding.
It's usually wood for me, but yeah, I believe in the messages on the glass, and I was about to buy a glass jug that had sacred geometry on it too, which I feel like
oh my gosh.
I love that. I think it's so like what feels good for
Mm-hmm.
you is fine. You know, like I
Yep.
really agree with you, Teresa, and like because I feel like that's another like the toxic narrative, like everything's toxic, like your fucking table, your everything, like everything in you're in a toxic environment, like that is not fun to
The
exist.
new one for me was my shower curtain. I'm like, okay, we have to draw the line somewhere.
I know, and it's like it's again
Bad.
like that purity mindset, like that I had like whenever I like shower, it's like this moment where it's like nothing is going to be 100,000% pure. Like it just is. Like the earth is this amazing, chaotic, beautiful, divine system. Like the idea that like you can be 1,000% perfect. Like it's not about that. And I don't know that like kind of like, oh shit, my mattress is toxic and everything in my room is toxic. I have to buy all of these fucking things. And it's like, oh wait, I'm being like psyoped again to buy a bunch of shit that I don't really fucking need to buy to exist. Like I can be okay. I'm not
Exactly.
gonna die. Yeah.
It's orthorexic. When
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah, Chantel, I don't know. I went through chronic illness and
Oh.
I became
Mhm.
orthorexic, and I think
Oh,
that's
I did. I was anorexic, bulimic, and orthorexic.
shit.
Like that's been a fun little journey.
And your freedom. You have freedom now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
With it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the toxicity really quick about the air because it's super smoky for us right now. Like I said, the wildfires and everything earlier, volcanoes. It's like there's so much tectonic activity going on, going back to the sun, because it's all tied in with the sun. Okay, but the reason, and so, okay, ground myself for a sec. So when there is so much volcanic activity, like remember when I'm not going to pronounce it right, Eiskifjord. Anyway, the big volcano in Iceland, like 7-8 years ago, maybe, and it halted like all flights in and out of Europe. People were stuck for like 3 weeks. You couldn't get in fresh produce and things because of this volcano, right? And because the effect it had on the atmosphere. So everybody's like, oh, it's so toxic and you can't breathe. Well, yeah, okay, immediately with then it is. This is like it is on fire. There is all of this ash and oh man, I could go on volcanoes for a long time too. But so immediate toxicity, yes. Just like anything, you have too much water, it is terrible for your system because your body can't process it, right? The reason we can breathe air, we have an atmosphere, is because of volcanoes. Volcanic activity created the atmosphere. And so just because something could be toxic doesn't mean in the long run that it's going to always be that way. It had to have this period of turmoil and upheaval so we could just have air to breathe. Like it's just continuing that cycle.
Yeah. That chaos. Well, okay, so now that makes okay. This is getting deeper. When I'm thinking about like energy and the chaos and the reaction to chaos that a lot of people have,
Mm-hmm.
is that required? Is that required to have that like a lot of people holding on and that tension? Actually, Sarah and I shot up before you got on. It's like this tension and this seed and
Mm-hmm.
it can emerge. But some of us, I went through that. We went through orthorexia, but some of us
Mm-hmm.
now we're just open to it all. And I think we need
Right.
that too. It's like, are we the soil or are we the water? Or what are we in relation to biomimicry? What are we to
Right.
the seed of evolution? It's all required. It's
Right.
all required. And a lot of the deeper truther people I listen to are like, there's nothing new under the sun. That's what they say. And I love that. I love that because I mean, I see it as related to cycles and history of a lot of even the toxicity,
Mm-hmm.
all the shit that you're talking about too. It could be all required, and isn't that something Everest says too? Like, how do you know
Yeah,
it's supposed to be happening? It was required to happen, or what?
exactly. And I mean, obviously, we want to resist things that are going to be harmful to us and take away our liberties and our freedom. Like we aren't just passive participants in things. Like we have to stand up and we have to take a role in what we believe in, but that doesn't mean you fight, struggle, because struggle is, I don't know, that's a word that's not allowed in our house. We have challenges and we experience challenges, but I hate the word struggle because that is something that you put yourself into, and that's a mindset. You can be in the middle of a challenge and recognize it, and you can go through that challenge with grace and ease. You don't have to struggle and drag your feet and fight the entire time. You can exist in that moment and recognize it's a challenging time and that you're really, really going through it. And it could be like the worst freaking day of your life. And maybe that's where you're supposed to be. Maybe that's where you're supposed to come out of it and gain so much. But the struggle, I hate the struggle is real. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not allowed in our house. The struggle, that's your mindset. That's the difference. There's a challenge and there's a struggle, and the difference is your mindset. I think that challenge is God approved, and because like everything exists that way in the universe, but struggle, that's just your resistance towards the challenge.
I say this now, if I'm really going through it, I just say I'm navigating.
I like that.
I say a struggle or challenge, I'm just like, I'm navigating this thing right now.
I love that. Yeah, I've been trying to get rid of like the saying like this is really hard. I'm like, no, it's, and if the one thing I try to say is like it feels hard. It feels hard right now. That doesn't mean it's actually hard. It's life. It's a challenge, right? Like I'm hitting a point of necessary tension because without like, and I totally think it's this uncomfortability with not knowing, like letting go. And I want to share this with you guys. I did Cheryl's art therapy class, and one of the themes was, I think it was balance, but I drew this thing and I called it realistic yin yang, because like the yin yang in itself like looks perfect, but like the reality of like balance is some shit like this, right? Like,
oh my gosh, Sarah,
it's, oh, thank you. I was actually pretty proud of how this came out.
But paint that.
I know we were thinking about how cool it would be if it was like 3D or something, but like, yeah, it's like nothing's ever going to be perfect. Like you're just in this world, and like we're always navigating, like you're always moving. It's always going to be moving. You're never going to be linear. And like if you are, that's called flatlining. Like you're dead, like boop, everything's done, like life is always moving. So I think it's like, like with the everything's toxic, it's like swinging to that other side, but like not giving a fuck about anything. It's like, well, I don't want to be there too. It's like you're always trying to be in this like middle state, but it's always this like push and pull. Like you're never gonna be just there all the time. I don't know. And that's hard to accept. Again, like I think that's it. I think it's hard to talk about. I think it's like it's esoteric. It's hard to understand. Like what are we actually talking about? Like even that relationship with the earth, like that's kind of hard to talk about. Like what are we actually talking about? It's a feeling. It's a deep connection with what we came from. We actually came from the earth, like, and getting to that connection is like a very intimate thing. Like you said, it was like a motherly connection. It's like, how can you even describe that? How do you explain that to people? It's like, it's just a thing. That's why people do shrooms and they're like, fuck, like it's kind of like that, and you don't know until you kind of feel it. And it's just being okay with like the state of everything and everyone, and just being like, it just is what it is, and that's how it is, and that's fine. That's really hard to do. Sometimes it feels hard to do.
What
I love that.
This community of, so, like I was saying earlier, a lot of people, I'm inundated with signs, whether it's advertising or political or whatever. People just want to belong inherently. I love belonging to a community of people who understand the uncertainty of it, and we can all have a variety of beliefs. And we're connecting on the freedom that we give each other to have our other beliefs, as much as I love truthing, but I think it's more like I love people who want to contemplate these things.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally.
super over identify with one or the other. It feels so good to be living
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
personally. And I think about, I have a background in Buddhism. I think so does Chantel. And like, I've chosen to somehow to like mentally come all the way back around full circle. Like, oh, nothing does matter. But I kind of got used
Mm-hmm.
to the chaos of researching and pain. It's really nice to be back at that, you know?
But now you get to enjoy that,
Yeah.
knowing that it was part of the wave.
Yeah.
You know, because
I-
that's all it is. Like Sarah said, you don't want a flat line. Everything. I mean, oh my gosh, we could go into string theory, but we won't. I can talk all day, you guys. But everything just vibrates at this. Oh, it's not just static, and it's not just, like Sarah said, just flatlined. But you got to enjoy that little journey of like,
Really.
whoop, and now here we are.
I felt like Zen Buddhism wasn't feminist enough, but there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place,
Mhm.
and I was like, it just not. I started doing this dance class too, and I was like, I don't know. I feel well, also because I was so sick with Lyme disease, but I also
Right.
reinterpreted that as I think I was kind of EMF poisoned more so than Lyme
Mm-hmm.
and trauma, and I a lot of things, but I couldn't really access much by sitting anymore. So I was accessing spirit through movement. Anyway, everybody and everything has cycles, but I felt
Right.
like Buddhism could integrate a little bit more of the feminine chaos. I don't know, maybe you have a different perspective of what
No.
it talks about chaos, but it's just like all of it is relevant at different times, and like
Mm-hmm.
people's entry point is like, oh, I need Zen because I needed to shut my mind. I need that right now. I do, but I've been moving chaotically through, and like that's also the right path because it was easy. Easy is right, as Everest says.
Right.
Yeah. And I like she says too, like, she says compassion is like witnessing someone like in pain and not wanting to change it at all.
Totally.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't change anything about how everything's happening.
Right.
And it's kind of that like, yeah, this whole chaotic system that we're in, because like at any one moment, everything is happening to someone. That's how I always think. Someone just died, someone
Mm-hmm.
was born, someone just fucking tripped, someone just broke up with someone just got engaged, someone just got, like this is all happening all the time. So for us to say like, oh, this shouldn't be happening, it's like, why?
Why not?
Why shouldn't it be happening? Oh,
It's
I'm
all
sorry.
about control.
Suddenly you are the orchestrator of the world and this shouldn't be happening. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's like it's that control that we're so like obsessed with, like,
Mm-hmm.
no, my plan. And again, letting go of that is not necessarily easy, but they're on the other
Right.
side of it is that kind of like, oh, cool, nothing matters.
Right.
But it does. But it doesn't.
So fun is that we are the orchestrators, but if we are, because we manifest every single
Right.
day, if we have the perspective of focusing on what's good and what is
Right.
happening is good and like living it, it's amazing the synchronicity that happens. I mean, we could veer this conversation or for another time to talk about how we basically live in this matrix or simulation that we really do. We have control, but in a different way than we think. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
amazing synchronicity, like, oh shit, this bird. I think about more in this shaman relationship to animal way, but like, wow, this bald eagle flew over me at that right time that I needed the message. Like,
Right.
I didn't influence the bald eagle, but did I? But like, anyway, just the synchronicity of living on this planet is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
Feel out.
Yeah. That's
It's
a whole
amazing.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think I hear the boys. I think they're wanting to go do something. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off.
Sounds great. Bye, Chantel.
I'm so glad I get to see you guys.
Don't get to see you. Love you so
You
much.
too. Love you guys. See you.
Have a great day.
So, are you
Bye.
staying on, Sarah? Bye.
I can stay on for a little bit if you're chilling.
I'm chilling. I totally have to pee too, but we're still recording. But anyway, this was really fun to go.
Yeah.
Direction.
It's so fun to dive in, and yeah, I appreciate being able to talk about it, because it's like, it's kind of hard, not hard, challenging to find, like, I mean, being totally 100% open and honest about everything. It's like, you don't know how people will react, but
Yeah.
I feel it's just nice to like not have to feel like you're double checking everything you say, like
Yeah.
you can just talk talk about it, but I don't think we're saying anything too crazy anyway. Like this is just kind of like the world, you
I
know.
know. I feel so great. I was so triggered thinking about moving back to this neighborhood where I feel like I'm going to walk on eggshells because I've changed. But
Yeah.
I am so ready to promote liberating free speech, I guess. I mean, that's one way to call it. Or just
Yeah.
people being human, humanity. Like, I don't believe that humanity has to prescribe to like having Black Lives Matter signs in your window. What if you don't do that? What does that mean? And all these things that you have to defend. What if you don't want to wear a mask? Like, people make a lot of assumptions, and like, we're so much more complex than that. And I'm ready to champion that, like, and live that out in the world. I'm going to try to not be an asshole about it, but sometimes it feels like that pressure is making me into an asshole, but it's like that pressure, maybe that assholeness seems
Yeah.
legit. I don't know. I just keep thinking I've become this salty old libertarian that I always used to think was way too triggered and sensitive. I feel like I'm not now, but I get it because you get so pissed at how many restrictions are on the world and people think they're liberated but they're actually restricted. That's weird.
It is.
But you got to embody it more than like teach it or like be mad at people. You just got to
I
embody it.
know. That's like something that I feel like is, I guess, like finding that balance too of like, yeah, do you go out and start telling people, or do you just embody that? And I think based on what we talked about too, like um embodiment of what your beliefs are is extremely powerful. And I think sometimes people don't think it is, but if you are living your belief system, like you're you're communicating with the world, like just not verbally maybe. But if you can embody that, like it's really powerful. And that's like what I've been trying to focus on, because it's like the other day literally I was like, oh my god, don't have enough time to do all the stuff I want to do, and I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I
Mm-hmm.
totally have time. And like trying to shift this, like I have all the time that I need to do the things that I want to do. And it's like, well, if I truly believe that, how would I be acting right now? And I was like, I would slow the fuck down. I would chill the fuck out. And I did exactly that. I'm like, cool. I am living like a person who believes that they have enough time to do everything.
Yeah.
It's like all of these things. And it's like, cool. So when I like meet someone, I'm not like, oh, sorry, I was rushing. Oh my God. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like,
Yeah.
I have time for this conversation. I have time for whatever it is that I want and need to do. But like truly believing that, like you becoming your beliefs, I really think it's powerful because you can feel it in your own self, you're like, and then you're putting that energy out to other people when you interact with them. Or even not, you're just putting it out in the world.
Exactly. The waves go on and you don't even see
Yeah.
because you've let go because you don't want to control the waves of
Yep.
influence
You're
that you.
like, yeah, it's just like I'm just being me, and it's just boom.
It's so good. Okay, what day SK are you on? I think we're riding on Soba Kriya vibes. Or like
We
we're
totally
powerful.
are.
What day are you? I don't know. I'm like on maybe day 30 or something.
Day 30 for me today. I have to do it still.
Nice. Did you start the same day Lauren did? I did, and maybe we started on the same day. Is what I'm
I
saying.
think I started the day after everyone because I was like, yeah, I'm ready, and then I totally forgot. So I'm
Okay.
like a day behind like some people. I know that me and Selena started on the same day, and I think there's like, but I'm like a day apart from whoever else. But I know there's some people who are on like day 7 or day 9 or whatever. But there's like a core few of us that are like day 30, day 29 ish.
It's
And
so
I totally feel it, dude. I mean,
good.
it's amazing.
Too, I did it last year, right at the exact same timing where I was moving. I was moving out of my apartment, going onto the road to Colorado, and I was doing it right. And so now I'm right in the middle of SK. I moved again, and I thought about it, and I was in the turmoil of it at the time. But like I'd started doing SK, then I found this apartment, and then like I had enough money, and then I like took money out of my retirement. I just kept, and like then I just got kind of a raise I didn't know I was getting, and like this all this stuff. I'm
Yeah.
giving myself money that I is fucking mine, but but also money's attracting to me, and like it's interesting how it just keeps unfolding. And
Yep.
I remember last year I was like, I'm gonna keep doing SK for a while, but it's probably good to receive. Like if you, kind of like
Right.
shifted her thoughts about how she doesn't need to work hard for God to love her
Yeah.
and bring money to her. But you probably got to be receptive and stop SK after 40 days and then like receive for a while. It's
Yeah.
powerful as hell. Because even sometimes I'm not fully into it because I'm so tired, but I realize no, like I'm just tapping into like the quantum where it is powerful.
Yeah.
Even if I'm
Yeah.
not fully in it today, and then someday you're super efforts, and someday,
Yeah, it's like again that balance of like, you
Mhm.
know, it all counts, it all matters.
Yeah,
And yeah, I really like that Everest has kind of been like, we don't have to do it the traditional, oh, unless you do it perfectly, it's not going to work. Like I have been breaking that too, and that's been really helpful for me, like in general, just being like, there's no perfect way to do this. I'm
yeah,
showing up, I'm
yeah,
being like, hey universe, I really care about this stuff. Like
yeah.
I'm being aware and I'm tapping into that. And if I feel that, that's it. The feeling is a prayer, right? Like I'm here and it's so powerful. It's amazing.
Okay, and you bought yourself a really expensive guitar, which is amazing, which is what I always preach. Give yourself the gifts. Don't expect
Yeah,
the rest.
baby.
Don't fucking. I love it.
Thank
It's
you.
so
Yeah.
good.
And dude, no, so I
Do you like Best Coast? You remind me of
yeah.
them a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I haven't listened to them in a while, but they're awesome. They're really great. I actually think I saw them live um ages ago. Yeah.
I
They're
think I.
so she's very cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was like knew I wanted a Telecaster, and I was like looking around, kind of like I went to see some in the store, like new ones. I actually got this on Craigslist, this one, and I
Cool.
went and I was like, I just wasn't feeling the ones that were there, and I wanted a good one because they have like there's different types of Telecasters. There's like the Squire ones, which are like less like it's all just different wood that it's made with, like the quality. So like it's still a guitar, but like you have like $300 Squire Telecasters, and then you have like $1,500
Mm.
Telecasters, and it's like depending on where it's made and like the wood that's used. And so I'm like with my dad, who's like, I love him, but he's like, oh, you don't want to spend that much. I'm like, but I really want a good guitar, you know? So I didn't buy one when we went to the store, but I was like, I know I want a Telecaster. Like, and I want to know when I pick it up that I'm like, this is it, you know, like this is the one. So I've just been thinking about that. And then like the other day, I had looked on Craigslist, I like hadn't really seen anything. And like Long Island's pretty big too, and a lot of them were like in the city. So I was like, I don't fucking drive into the city just to see a guitar that like sucks, you know? So I was like putting the intention out. I was like, I really want to find one that's like really good and like close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the days, like the other day, I went online and I'm in Long Beach and I see this one in fucking Long Beach listed. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. It's listed for $800. I'm like, that's still a lot of money, but like it's still awesome. And like, I'm like, I'm gonna go see the guy. I go and get it, and I'm like, I get it for $750. And like,
Wow.
I tried to haggle with the guy, and he was just like, seriously, it's worth every penny. Like, I can't go below 750. And he's like, if you don't want this, like, because I bought it, he's like, please text me if you want to resell this, because I will literally buy it back from you. And I was like, okay, this guy's legit. And
Oh,
like, since I've gotten it, I've just been like, yes. But like the fact that it came up and it was like literally 20 minutes away, so easy. Like I was like, yes, this is the universe being like, I got you, you know, like, but I also like that day I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna look on Craigslist today. I'm just gonna do it because I was like, oh, I want a Telecaster, and like, and it just there it was, and I was like, this is it. Like this
it's
is the
yours.
one. And it
Oh
was
my lord.
so good.
Oh
Oh,
my lord, it's so good.
I know. I'm like, and now I feel like so stoked. I'm like, I've been playing it every day, like just playing around, and I'm like visualizing myself like getting better. And I'm like, this is gonna be like my guitar that I'm like shredding on, you know? Like I'm not there yet, but I'm like, I can feel it and it feels so awesome. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Yeah. And it's
Yes.
like you said, like I didn't plan this, you know, it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's coming to me and I'm being open to like what I really want. Cause like for a really long time I was just like, music is like a hobby, like you don't spend that much time on it. Like yeah, I know you love singing, but like when I stopped doing that I was so fucking sad, you know, like,
Yeah.
and it's just like being okay with what you want
Yeah.
and going with it.
Fuck yeah.
So
And
good.
it's about how it feels.
Yeah.
Um your brother is a famous musician too, so like that's just that palpable for you that you can do it. You know you can do it.
Yeah, and for so long,
Yeah.
yeah, for so long I was like, oh well, he's a musician, like I can't be the musician. I'm like, what the fuck is that bullshit? Like that's
When I saw you play, when I saw and heard you playing, I was like, no, she's definitely redeeming any thought she might have had that she can't be the sibling also famous.
yeah. Thank you.
Because
It
you are,
feels
you're
like
such
that.
a natural at it.
Thank you. I'm letting it go, like, because I think I had this idea of like how it would have to be if I'm like, oh shit, if I want to do this, like it's my job, I got to do it. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm just having a good fucking time, because if I'm just having a good time, like that's when I actually create things, and I'm like starting to actually make my own shit and not be like, you can't write music, you're really shit. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like this terrible voice has just been like driving in the fucking driver's seat this whole time
Yeah.
is finally like in the back seat, and I'm like, I know you're there, it's okay, but you're not driving right now,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
it
Just
feels it feels good.
that voice. I love. I was just reading this book. Oh, what the hell was it called? Play Big. It was called Play Big by Tara Moore. And I
Mm,
stopped on the. I open it up. I do this a lot, bibliomancy, where you just open the book to the page that you're supposed to read.
love it.
She's talking about how she quit writing for 8 years. Like she was a little girl who would write books with her friends, and I was too. I would like draw books, and she tried to be a writer, and she gave up, and she didn't write for 8 years, and then she got back into it,
That's
and
so
now
awesome.
she's a published author. And then one of my favorite gals is like this skateboarder, Hannah Zazi. She must have had a kid or whatever. She quit skateboarding for 7 years, and she fucking comes back and wins like the Vans Open in the bowl. Like she shreds.
Holy
And I
shit,
love that story. Everyone can come back. You
I
know,
love
have
that.
purity of how you are approaching.
I love that. Like, thank you for saying that, because I also have been fighting this, like, only people who've been playing guitar since they were 5 years old can be like, famous, and it's like that's not true. Like that's just like my brain trying to,
Yeah.
because it's scary to create and like try something new, but it's like, yeah, I love seeing those stories of people who like start something new and they're like later on in their life, and it's like, yeah, and they fucking killed it. It doesn't matter, because even like this idea that like, oh yeah, once you hit 25, like you can't learn new things or something, like there's so many of these stats that are thrown around that I really think are just like limiting beliefs, right?
Mhm.
Like you shouldn't try to do new things when you're past a certain age, and it's like, what? No, I want to try new things all the time, like
Yeah.
and believing that I can do it, that's, yeah, that's awesome.
It's about the feel. Yeah, it's about the feeling. Even I don't even let myself or people think that they can't have kids. There's always
Yeah,
a way, like at a certain age or something like that. There's just so many
yeah,
stories. And my thing, and I was talking about this on Marco, is I am intending on moving back to Portland. And I've been gone for 15 years, and
yeah,
yeah, you get over the grief and everything, but like there's no reason why I can't go back with
yep,
tons, as though my intention is to go back as though I never left, basically, and just
love it.
assimilate into it. And I know that's happening, and I think that can happen to basically anybody,
Yeah,
whatever they
so
choose. Oh my god, I wanted to talk about. We can talk about this another call, like death, and I thought about postpartum. I thought about like
yeah,
the maiden, how people grieve. There's so many cycles of death in our own lives, even like outgrowing things, outgrowing the thought that you were limited in your
yeah,
guitar playing. Like that's a
because
death.
it is so true. Actually, like we were in our WhatsApp chat, we were talking about it because Adriana was having this um like I don't know what day of Sobok she was on, but she's like, I feel so shit, and we were talking about like, what is it called, the Herxheimer reaction, or like when you,
I know about the Herxheimer. Holy
yeah,
crap!
I was gonna say you probably know all about it too, like,
Yeah,
and we were talking about like you're actually changing your mode of being, like your
that's
part of you is dying, and like
yeah,
it's actually not weird for your body to have a physical reaction to that, but it's like it's not really talked about, like the kind of like you're saying, like spiritual like being growth requires the death of that old person, even if that's like your beliefs, like you know, it's like this part of you that's like fighting to stay alive, and it's like, no, I'm not going back there. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of this meta thing, like, but it's so good to talk about. I would be down to have like a high tea death chat.
Me too. I love the topic of death. I'm so glad you might have been, was it you or somebody else, the first person to join the death? Maybe it was Atlas. Anyway, I could talk about death, not in a goth way, but in a very healthy, rich, cyclical. It's about
Yeah.
cycles. And right now I'm currently having to gear up to get, I think I'm going to do this today. I want to try to start doing death cleaning in a particular apartment, Swedish death cleaning. I'm kind of
Yeah.
making up my version of what it means, and I'm really scared because I feel like I'm gonna puke and like Herc's reaction style and stress about but I have to decide what is dying in my life and
Yeah.
kill it. I have to murder the things that are holding me back, and I feel like it takes time, and I'm gonna have brain fog, kind of like a Herc smart. But I want to bring more community into it. Um,
Yeah.
Jesse and Isma, I think her name, and Bruja want to do death cleaning, and we want to share results. Anyway,
Yeah.
that
No, I
topic of
love
death is vital for us
uh,
to stay intimate with. Yeah.
it is. And you know, I actually there's this woman, this Irish woman who has a YouTube channel about um like the KonMari method, and like she talks about Swedish death cleaning. It's more about the organization, but I watched a video recently and she was doing this like um organizing and like cleaning out of like sentimental things.
Mm.
And she said a lot of like really powerful things. She was like, maybe you're not ready to let go of something. That's okay. You don't have to go in and be like, kill everything, you know? Like, if you're not ready to, is the pain of like letting it go right now more painful for you than just keeping it? Or the other way around, are you actually in more pain keeping something than letting it go? Because she was like, when we label something as like sentimental, it suddenly becomes this like, we kind of put it on a pedestal.
Mm.
So even this concept around like what you label as sentimental and like the weight that you put on those things that you like, oh, if I get rid of this, like I'm deleting the memories. And um I don't know, it is so powerful, and it also is a lot like to go through. Like I know there's some things that I need to go through as well that I would like to go through. um but it's a death cycle for sure. And she was like, be kind with yourself. Like if you like have snacks around, have water, have something comfortable, like make your place comfortable when you're doing this. Like it's not an easy, necessarily easy thing. It's not a simple thing to just be like, well, throw this out, yes, no, yes, no. We're talking about like a deeper thing. And yeah, but it's really powerful to
I
interact with.
thought on my walk today, I was like, you know what? You don't have to be this murderous slasher of all these things because I was thinking like, don't traumatize yourself for getting rid of shit. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
not valuable. That's not my values. I don't want to traumatize the move. I don't want anything about my moving to Portland being traumatic. So, and
Mm-hmm.
this move wasn't traumatic. I just decided moving isn't traumatic, kind of like Everest talked about with her move right now. And I
Yeah.
realized, like, you know what? It's a belief that I need to get rid of a bunch of shit in order to deserve to move. I've had that
Yeah.
belief probably for 15 years. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
part of why I haven't gone to Portland. But what I started looking at, it costs money. $500 for, I've got a quote. It'll cost $500 to get two guys to help me move when I'm ready to move out here. It'll cost $2,000 to get a pods and get a pods to move to Portland. And just like, okay, well, I'm gonna just pay that. That's not gonna be
Yeah.
traumatic. What about that?
Yeah.
What if I don't consider that I have to get rid of 50% of my stuff, but just say I just need to organize that move better? Anyway, so it's the death of belief or the death of belongings or the death of attachment. The attachment might be like that, it has to be hard. It might
Yeah.
be, the attachment might be all your shit, or it might be that moving has to be hard, or it's like somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the idea. You should share with me that Irish woman that she's talking about those intimate details, whereas Comrie is more like discard it, don't give it to anybody, and it's like pretty hardcore, and I struggle with that. And like,
Yeah.
would love to hear somebody talk about how sentimental things are valuable to keep
Yeah.
in
I
that.
will send it to you. I like, she's kind of made like a whole business and like YouTube channel out of it. Like, because she had the same reaction to like the KonMari thing where she was like, sparking joy like isn't necessarily the best metric. You
Yeah,
know, like what if
I agree.
this thing doesn't spark joy, but like I don't want to get rid of it. So she really went into it, and she has like a lot of videos specifically around like organizing different spaces and like what it means. So I'll send you that video. I thought it was good.
Love that. I have been freaked out about KonMari and the whole sentimental thing because I really think that a lot of people have gotten rid of sentimental shit they maybe shouldn't have gotten rid of. Because
Yeah.
I just that makes me really nervous because it feels like it's a cultural cleanse, like a bad thing. Like you're getting rid of heritage, which keeps us grounded, connected, and it's not joy, but it's also valuable. It's important
Yeah,
to stay connected to your ancestors and your past and stuff.
totally. Yeah, because it's like um it's kind of like the minimalist thing, right? Like where it's like, yeah, that slashing of like get rid of it. You don't need it. Is it serving a purpose? Is it sparking joy? And it's like, well, what if what if it doesn't meet those criteria, but I still want to keep it for other reasons? Like it's a very personal journey, and no one can tell you what's right or wrong for you to keep. And like so with a lot of these systems, it's like you can, like you said, you can throw something out that like actually causes you more pain that you threw it out. And she has another video I didn't watch fully, but she talked about that where
Wow.
like 5 things she wish she didn't throw out, or like regrets that she had, and she was like, I actually threw out like some stuff that like I should have kept, like
Oh
now I kind of
my
wish I kept them. And she was like, you know, really think about um why you're throwing something out. Like will I look back and wish I kept this? And that's why, again, it's a personal journey, and it's not supposed to really be this like quick thing, you
God.
know, necessarily. It can be, but you shouldn't feel bad if it takes you time, you
Mhm.
know. Like it's
Yes. I oh shit, what was one thing I was gonna say? I've tried out tons of different methods of getting rid of shit. Oh shit, what was the thing I was gonna say? I would love to see that video so much.
yeah.
I feel a lot of strength with the certain things I keep. Oh fuck, there was something I was gonna say.
Hate that.
Oh well, I just hate buying new shit. That is one of my values. I realize I literally move. I was talking about this on Marco. I feel like it's this trauma response that I move every 6 months to 1 year because I just don't want to live here.
Yeah.
But I still save everything. Oh, and when we pack, my family always complains that I have so much shit, but really it's just that I move around, so everyone sees my shit all the time, basically. And we packed up my shit into the size of a studio to one bedroom apartment. I'm 36 years old, and I have basically just as much as probably someone my age normally has, like a 1 to 2 bedroom level of stuff. So it was really nice
Yeah.
to get prescribed that a U-Haul that's like this is a 1 bedroom apartment level of shit. And that's what I have. And I was like, see, family, see, this is how much shit I have. And
Yeah.
but I also one of my values is to not buy a bunch of new shit because it's stressful. It stresses the hell out of me because then I'm going to IKEA for one thing and then I buy 10 other things. And it's absurd and I don't want to do that anymore. And I kind of obviously would just rather haul a bunch of shit around that I don't have to. Also, I buy shitloads of wood and it's like I bought all this vintage wood furniture, and I realized it's because there's a patina, there's an energy, it's wabi sabi. I don't know if you know about what wabi sabi is.
Is
It's
it
not like feng shui, but it's a methodology of decorating where it's you use new and old things, but you always have ancient kind of ancestral story like patina old things in your environment to
hmm.
keep you grounded.
Yeah.
And I realized that's kind of how I grew up with a lot of like antique wood furniture. And I just feel so happy that I bought like old, crusty, vintage, cool furniture off of somebody on Facebook Marketplace.
So good.
That's a little bit more my style. And
Yeah.
I did go to Target and buy a bunch of shit, but like not that much. I just hate running around. There are people who get rid of their blenders, their silverware, all that shit every time they move. And that's just not where I'm at. I don't want to
I
go
know.
stress
I
about.
feel the same. Like the totally throwing out everything is actually something I didn't realize people do. Well, they like completely don't bring anything, and it's like, oh shit. Yeah, I actually I have some uh old furniture in my room. So this little this little chair. Let me show you. My clothes are on
Oh,
it.
cute.
This
Oh,
is
yes.
this has been in my family apparently for like 200 years or
Oh my
something.
God, it's so gorgeous.
And I was like, I didn't realize like how old it was. But my mom was like, yeah, like my mom gave it to me, like her aunt gave it to her, and like someone gave it to her. And then I also have, I don't know if you can see this, but this right here,
Yeah,
like a little wooden, I
sweet.
don't even know what it's called, but like that's also been in my
Yeah,
family, and it's so nice to have like that kind of stuff around. Like there is an energy where you're like, who else used this? Where else was this? You know, when you build IKEA furniture, you don't feel that way. You know, it's like it's very different, and like the quality and the being, you're like a steward of it now.
yes.
It's not yours and then you throw it out. It's like I have to maintain this and make sure it's good, and then I'm going to give it to someone else. Like it's a very very different kind of existence, but
Yeah,
it's so nice. It's like very cool.
yeah. I love that. I love that we share that thought, sentimentality, being grounded. To each his
Yeah.
own is the other thing. To each his own. Not there's no diet, there's no cleaning method that is right. And so, I want to in general, like moving forward with the mild wild and truth or tea, like just promote basically like chaos or energy or anarchy. It's just like do what you want, and that's pretty much kind of what Everest and Bruja is too. But like, it's all about what feels good.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
what I, but here's all the tools you need to assess what's right for you. But like, do that thing that you're gonna believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally. I'm posting the video. I'm just gonna post it in high tea just in case someone else wants to watch it.
sweet.
Um, but
How long have I've been on this call for 3.5 hours. Actually, no one showed up for the first half hour though.
yeah, I wasn't sure how long you were sitting on here, but I actually will hop off because I'm gonna head out to RJ's in a little bit.
Cool.
But it's been so nice to chat with you as always.
So wait, by the way, what webcam do you have? Because it's going in and out of focus.
Really? I know it does that.
In a
It's
good way, that's cool.
it's a Logic C922 or something. I'll send you the link. It's quite good, but the focus, like, it does go in out of focus sometimes. Like sometimes it gets kind of spazzy, but it's a pretty good one.
I kind of like it. I'm about to buy a new Mac desktop, so I just wanted to double check because I think that has like a nice,
Yeah, I think they have nice cameras built in.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's gonna be like, okay, go have fun with RJ. I gotta pee because I had so much coffee, but this was so nice to chat
Yeah, and I'm
with
really
you guys.
glad that you got to your new place. I love that you have a nice little porch to sit out on, and yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Thanks for setting up high tea. I'm so glad you
Yes.
did.
Yes, me too. It was such a good chat.
So good.
I'll post it like maybe unlisted or I don't know. I'll ask you guys what I can do. I could be on Truth or Tea.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are good with that, I mean, we could do that.
You guys could contemplate it, but I could also just unlist it and put it on Bruja because it'd be cool if Brujas want to listen to us.
Yeah, yeah, fuck it. It's like
Make
be
it
at
fun.
yeah, high tea recording. I think it's just fun to record the conversations anyway.
It is cool. Yeah, we got some good content.
We did, for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks
Well,
so much, Therese. I'll talk to you soon.
okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Where am I going here?